Hey, what's up everyone? So in this video we're gonna do something pretty amazing. We're gonna take one of my favorite Production Music Live Ableton templates, which is called Analog Rooms. We're gonna take it apart, we're gonna dissect it, and we're gonna completely redesign it to work with external synths only. So no VSTs, no sample loops, only hardware synths and hardware drum machines. Interested? So let's dive in. So before we go any further, I just wanted to show you the original PML song that was designed based on this template. It's called Analog Rooms. And here it is, our hardware rendition of this PML template. Let's have a quick listen of what we're going to end up creating. Now let's look at the original Production Music Live template. So I'm going to solo this part here. So that's our template. Now, as you can see, it has quite a few tracks in it, and they've only used virtual synthesizers. Still made it sound very nice and analog, but let's do something with real analog gear. So before we go any further, I'm really interested to see what your opinion is about using external gear, hardware synthesizers, hardware drum machines in an everyday DAW-based digital workflow. So how do you merge the benefits of hardware synths with the flexibility of digital audio workstations and virtual studio technology? If you have anything to add, if you have any questions, any suggestions, anything that you see that I do right, anything that you see that I do horribly wrong and you have a better way of doing it, please leave us a comment in the comment section below. So how do you turn a template that was designed for VST instruments into something that you can use on external gear like this big monster behind me? Basically, I've taken the original PML template, I grouped all the tracks in it, and I created a duplicate of that. So this down here, this big group is my duplicate template. Now, as you can see, this one has a lot less tracks than the original PML one. And actually, we are going to end up with even less than that. And the reason for that is because when you're working with external gear, you don't want to have 142 different tracks. Instead of doing that, what you want to do is create patches and sounds that you can modulate, that you can animate, that you can change into different timbres and achieve different soundscapes by doing that. So instead of doing layering, which is a pretty good technique when you're using VST technology, and you have virtually unlimited tracks to use that, with external synths, it's not so much the case because you only have so much gear behind you, right? So you have to make use of what you have. Okay, so I find the best method to go about this once you've duplicated the original template is to go through basically track by track and you just get rid of everything. Because the only thing that we are going to be using is MIDI information from MIDI tracks, and we are also going to be utilizing the new Ableton CV tools because those things are just a freaking game changer when it comes to integrating external hardware into the DAW workflow. I really find it something magical, so thank you, Ableton. Good job on that one. So if you see in the original template, you have your sampler, and then you have the plugins that the PML guys decided to drop after the sounds. So we are not going to be using those, okay? So once we duplicated the template, we go through every channel one by one, and we basically delete everything. Okay, so once you've gone through your new template, what you want to do is extract an 8 to 16 bar segment where everything is playing. If you can't find a segment where everything is playing, and you really shouldn't be able to, because you don't never want to have everything playing together in one song, then just pick the busiest section, you highlight a section, hit Control or Command L, and then you can come up here, you can copy this section, you can go further down. In the Ableton project, make sure you pick track 1, and then you just paste everything in there. Okay, so once you've added every element in there that's missing, and if I play the whole thing together, it's a mess because everything is playing on top of each other. Okay. The reason I do it this way is because the next step, what you're going to do is you're going to create your MIDI assignment. And this is going to be different for everybody because I don't know how your studio is set up. I don't know how many different kinds of external synths and drum machines and whatnot you have. So you're going to have to go on a case-by-case basis and figure out MIDI routings and figure out a way to send information from CV tools via a DC coupled audio interface. The Ableton CV tools relies on audio interfaces that are DC coupled. If you don't know what that is, feel free to look it up. The point is, once you have one of these audio interfaces, then you are going to be able to use Ableton CV tools and send audio to send control voltage to your Eurorack synthesizers or other external synths. I'm not going to get into too much detail on how to program your drums using MIDI information. That's not really what I want to showcase in this video. What I really want to show you is how to actually modulate your Eurorack synthesizer using these tools. So for now, I'm just going to say that there are quite a few different ways of creating drum grooves on external drum machines, and if that is something that you would like to learn more about, please do let us know in the comment section below, because we might just be working on something that would cover stuff like that. But just for the sake of being thorough, I will show you how to do this on one of these tracks. So let's use the kick drum. Okay, so the kick drum is coming from the Roland TR8S. I'm using the assignable output 1, and that in turn is being fed into one of my mixers, and this mixer is a audio interface, a multi-channel audio interface, so I'm able to record up to 22 tracks simultaneously, and this mixer takes care of the drums only. The other mixer, which is the Allen and Heath Mix Wizard, takes care of recording from Oscar, aka this big monster behind me who I decided to call Oscar for whatever mysterious reason. Basically, once your MIDI routing is set up, all you need to do is create a MIDI clip and enable the little headphone icon over here, and then start playing around until you hear whichever instrument you want to trigger. So this is the kick drum. You're not going to hear the rest of it because I'm only using the kick drum on the TR8S. Everything else is coming from the drum root. Normally when you're using the TR8S stereo out and you play these notes here, anything from C1 up to C3, I believe, will trigger one of the sounds. So, oh, actually, there you go. Perfect. All right, so we can hear one of the hi-hats even though I'm not using this. So C1 here is my kick drum trigger. So as you can see, I have a 4 to the floor pattern, and that is triggering the kick drum on this TR8S. To show you another example, let's go to the snare track. The same thing happens here. So my drum root is connected to port number 7 on this MIDI interface, and I'm using MIDI channel 14 to send MIDI messages to my drum root. We should be able to hear more once I'm triggering these notes here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so that's my clap. This is my snare, and I have this weirdo sort of double clap snare pattern. Of course, you don't necessarily have to use an external drum machine, but I wanted to make this video fully analog external gear, so no VSTs whatsoever. Okay, so here I'm going to loop this segment again, and I'm going to start playing it, and then I'll explain you which external synth I'm using for every track. So let's start with the bass line. All right, so the bass groove is being sent to the Korg DW8000, which is a very nice, amazing sounding vintage polysynth. Now, what's happening here, the way I have this whole massive setup worked up here is that I can take the sound coming out of the DW8000, I can split it off to many different audio tracks, and I can send the duplicated signals through effect processors and whatnot. So that's what's happening here. So we have the DW8000, which is being fed into this patch bay. From the patch bay, one line goes into the mixer, which is the bass line itself, and then I'm splitting it off, and then I'm putting it through a couple of effect processors. A bit raiser with a high pass filter, and then the output of this is going into a mixer to create a mono signal. From there, we go into the make noise echophone, which is a delay module. And then from there, we are going to the make noise herb verb, which is a reverb module. So we can do all kinds of fun modulations with these. Okay, so this is the main bass line. Now this one is being sent to port 10 of my MIDI interface, and I'm using channel 1 because that's the channel that I have set the Korg DW8000 to receive MIDI messages on. All right, let's move on. Next sound is the Pluck square bass. First of all, let's listen to the original version of this from the PML template. Here it goes. Okay, so that's the original version. Now let's listen to what we patched up here on Oscar behind me. And for this patch, I'm using the Endorphins shuttle modules. All right, here we go. So we are using the Endorphin shuttle control. That is where the MIDI messages are being sent. And as you can see it on the Ableton screen, let me zoom on this MIDI clip. As you can see it here, this is being sent to the Endorphin shuttle control. So note information and trigger information. The trigger is being patched into the Grand Terminals envelope generator. The note information is being patched into the further generators key input. And then the whole thing is going into a VCA, and from the VCA it gets directed into the patch bay, which eventually ends up in the mixer and goes back into Ableton, so I can record it on one of the audio tracks, audio return tracks that I have previously set up. These are all the audio tracks that I can record via these mixers and my audio interface. Okay, so there is a secondary track in this group, as you can see. And on this track, you'll see a CV tool, and this is gonna be our first encounter with the magical Ableton CV tools. And in this time, I'm using the CV LFO. Now, the reason I'm using the CV LFO, because I wanted to give this plucky sound a little bit of animation, so it's not the same all the time, so it changes. And the way it is set up is as such. So, I previously mentioned the DC coupled audio interface that you have to have in order to be able to use the Ableton CV tools. I am using probably the most compatible and probably the nicest Eurorack format audio interface that you can ever find, and it is the Expert Sleepers ES-8. This thing is amazing. It has 4 inputs and 8 DC coupled outputs. Let me show you from a little bit closer. It's this guy right here. So the Expert Sleepers ES-8. The way this is connected, I'm using the ADAT, also known as optical connection, to sort of piggyback it off of the Focusrite 18920, which is capable of being expanded via optical connection. So this gives me 8 extra outputs and 4 extra inputs. But not only that, all of these outputs are DC coupled. So I'm able to use the Ableton CV tools, which in this configuration technically gives me 8 opportunities to send modulations and create different sonic elements. So you pick external out, and in my case, I'm using Expert Sleepers ES-8 output number 5. So output number 5 is then being sent through this long cable, and I patch that into the symmetry input of the Endorphin's further generator, which gives this Pluck sound this very nice evolving texture. All right, sub 37 bass group. Well, okay, so I kept the original track because I wanted to show you something with it. Okay, this is the original Production Music Live synth line that they created, and they dialed in all these nice modulations, automation. This one is opening the filter of the Arturia Mini V3. As you can see it right here. Now, the way I duplicated this is as such. So I'm using the MOOG sub 37 crazy ass amazing monophonic synthesizer to recreate this sound. So let's listen to it. Let's see what happens if I turn on some glide. Yeah, we can add some glide. Very nice. Anyways, what I wanted to show you with this automation track here from the original PML Templates Mini V3 track, I am using another CV Tools plugin here, which is the CV Utility. And I basically copied the automation lane that the PML guys created to open and close the filter of the Mini V3. And I pasted onto and the first value of the CV utility. Now this just sends control voltage out based on the automation that you draw in. And it will be very lengthy to explain, but take my word for it. One of those inputs up there is eventually going into my sub 37's filter CV input. And that is the output where I'm sending this control voltage via the CV utility plugin. So I can achieve the exact same animation that the PML guys painted in on this automation track, except I'm not using the Arturia Mini V3. So now I'm gonna go ahead and delete this track, because only reason why I kept it is because I wanted to show you where this automation came from. Yeah, so basically via the CV utility, I'm able to modulate the filter cutoff parameter of the MOOG Sub 37 much in the same way as the PML guys dialed it in the original template. All right, moving on. Next element. And again, I saved the original track from the original template. Let's listen to it. It's this nice analog monophonic lead, again from the Mini V3. And this is our rendition. Okay, so a lot of things are going on with this particular patch, and I kept the original one because again I wanted to show you how the automation was copied from the original template and pasted onto yet another CV utility, which is the same CV utility as I have used before. This time, the control voltage of the CV utility is being sent to one of the filter modules that I'm using to patch up this particular sound. We're going to go through that in a second. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the original track because we no longer need that. Okay, so this particular sound is patched up on the following modules. I'm using the DPO from Make Noise Music, one of my favorite FM modules. It's fully analog, it sounds crazy. I'm using Oscillator 1's SAW waveform. The volt per octave input is receiving note information via the Expert Sleepers ES8 again, because this time we're not using MIDI information to create the melodic sequence, but rather we are using the CV instrument. So the CV instrument is fairly complex. I actually left one of the tracks undone on purpose. So we're gonna do this one here together. I'm gonna show you how to use the CV tools and how to calibrate your external synth and how to patch up something nice. So we're gonna do that together. It will take a little while, so bear with me. Everything about the CV instrument is going to be explained there. Okay, let me keep going through this particular sound. So I'm using the DPO. The DPO sound is then coupled with a little bit of noise that's coming from a noise generator, and it's being fed through the same Roland 505 filter module. Eventually it gets mixed together and it's being sent to my main mixer over here, and I dialed in a little bit of reverb and a bit of ping pong delay just to make the sound a bit more interesting. Okay, let's listen to all the elements again, now with the main lead. Original template and our rendition. Keep in mind though, we're using external gear, we're using analog mixers, nothing has been mixed, nothing has been mastered, nothing has been made shiny and super polished and anything. This is raw. This is as in your face as it gets, especially if we compare it to the original production. This part here. So this song here has fully been mastered and mixed. It sounds beautiful. Our song is raw. We haven't mixed anything. We have frequencies in there that, you know, don't necessarily need to be in there. We have to, once you record the audio stems, then you go and mix all of them and you make sure that everything sounds perfect with each other. But it's not bad for a rough cut, is it? Alright, let's keep going. So let's tackle two parts here. This section here in the original template, if you have a quick look, is right here. So this was 4 separate tracks. It's all the same preset on the Mini V3, all the 24 lead 1 name preset. But again, since we are rewriting this for external synths, we cannot afford to have 4 different tracks like we are able to do when we're using VSTs. So basically what I did, I consolidated the MIDI clips from all these 4 tracks into one MIDI track. And that's what this says here, consolidated 24 lead original. And it has cool parts like this. So let's go ahead and recreate this on the modular wall. Now, bear with me, because this usually takes a few hours of frantic patching to arrive to one sound that we really like, but I promise to do my best. And we're going to be using the CV instrument. So we're going to go through step by step on how to set this up, how to use it to run the modular synth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly patch up a sound. I'm going to be using a sine wave. We're going to put that through a make noise MMG filter first. From the filter, we're going to go into a VCA, a voltage controlled amplifier. From the VCA, we may or may not go through an effect module. I think we're going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and patch it that way. What I will do, I'm going to use the 4ms Tapographic delay, but I'm going to turn down the dry bed knob so we can only hear the dry signal. Now from here, we need to patch this into the mixer. and hopefully I have more room in there. Hopefully I have enough room in there to pull this off. I'm not gonna be too conscious about left and right, going to left and right. I'm just gonna patch it up and hope for the best. So we are on tracks 11 and 12. Oh, silly. Haha, welcome to Eurorack land. Time input does not equal audio in input. Let's try this. There it is. Okay, so simple sine wave. Now, let's calibrate this. All right, so we're gonna follow the instructions step by step. CV instruments calibrate. Plug an oscillator into an audio input, sine, saw, or square work the best. Done. Select the audio input you plugged your oscillator into. Okay, so yeah, I know this is gonna look a bit confusing for you. It's actually looking a bit confusing for me too right now, and it's my own system. Nevertheless, we are going to pick the corresponding external input. Monitoring is enabled. Great. Next, select a pitch CV output and connect it to your oscillator. Warning, sending CV signals to speakers can damage them. No kidding. All right, so this is the time where you need to pick your DC coupled external output. So I'm going to choose external out, and I'm going to choose Expert Sleepers ES8 output number 7. Now I'm going to patch output number 7 of the Expert Sleepers ES8 into the 1 volt per octave input of my Dixie 2. So that's done. Next. Adjust the pitch of your oscillator until the tuner turns green and says C3. Well, we might just be lucky because it might be exactly on C3. Funny thing, it was. Okay, so I think it's happy with C3 right there. Let's move on. Next step, click the button below to begin calibration. Awesome. There you have it. So we've calibrated the VCO with the Ableton CV instruments. Now let's keep moving. Let's make something useful out of this one. Okay, first and foremost, let's listen to the original track. Okay, so this is a very nice sine wave lead. Quite a bit of delay on it. So since we have this track duplicated here, now we have node information going to the oscillator. The next thing we need to do is assign a gate output to yet another external output of the Expert Sleepers ES8. So again, we go external out, and I think number 7 is the last one. Yeah, we calibrated the IntelliGel Dixie 2 VCO on channel number 6 of the Expert Sleepers ES8. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my last remaining open channel for the gate signal, which is going to be channel number 7. And we are going to utilize that information to create an envelope. So I'm using the gate that's coming through the Expert Sleepers ES8, and let's find an envelope generator module here. Let's use the Make Noise Mats. Why? Because it's freaking amazing. From the Make Noise Mats, I'm going to use the Unity out, patch it into the Make Noise MMG frequency modulation input parameter. And I'm going to take a duplicate of that signal and I'm going to plug that in to the VCA that is controlling this last sound. There we go. Okay, perfect. Now we have note information and we have an envelope going here. We just have to dial in an envelope setting that will work for us. Okay. Okay, so let's try that in the context of the song. So let's unmute everything. A quick trick, just to make sure that everything gets triggered properly and there are no overlapping notes, again, which would not be a problem in VST land, but we are dealing with external gear, so it's a bit more temperamental. Control A to select all the notes in the MIDI clip. Control 4 to get rid of the grid. Zoom in on any part. Pick any of the notes and just pull it in a bit. This way, there is no overlapping whatsoever. I don't know if I'm liking that. Plucky. Okay, I'm gonna go back on my word here for a second because I think I found a bit better solution to do this in the grand scheme of things. So I'm going to highlight all the MIDI clips on this track. So you can pick the first one, you hit and hold shift on your keyboard and you pick the last one. So this is gonna pick all the MIDI clips. Now what I'm gonna do is hit Control or Command J. This is going to consolidate the MIDI clip into one big long MIDI clip. And the reason I do that because I want to do the same treatment on all the MIDI notes that are contained in these MIDI clips. So again, I'm going to hit Control Command A to select all the MIDI notes, and I'm going to make them short. Yeah, even shorter. Control 4 to get rid of the grid. Control A to pick all the notes again. Make it even shorter. Okay, now it's almost like a trigger. Now I can really use the mats to dial in the envelope. Okay, cool. Now with that, let's play around because the original template had a pretty big deal of a ping pong delay going on that track, so let's try to replicate that here somehow. Okay, let's listen to the original one. Okay, so let's dial in. I'm going to pick another preset on this guy here. It depends on how crazy and how wild you want to go with this. Whatever your taste dictates. It's not so bad. Let's make it a bit longer. No, I'm not liking that one. Let's pick another bank. Okay, I like that. I think I'm gonna drop this whole sequence pitch by an octave. Good news about the Make Noise MMG is that you can actually mix two different signals together. So I'm going to take the sub octave from the Intelligible Dixie 2. Yes. Okay. I'm loving it. Okay, so now we can get rid of the original track because again, we no longer need that. Let's play this again. And now mix it in. I'm just gonna use the faders on my mixer to sort of rough mix it in there. Listen to the original. Now, do you remember that LFO CV tool that I was using on the square bass? This guy, okay. Can get rid of this example here, this guy right here. So this is a very slow LFO that repeats over a 16 bar span. This one is going to the ES8 output number 5, and this is the one that's modulating the Endorphin's shuttle. So I'm going to take a copy of the signal. Number 5 is right here. Let's see what we can do with it. I can patch it into the filters resonance. Very nice. One more thing I'm going to do here is take this sine arp section, and as you can see it here, there's nothing playing in this part of this patch. So I'm going to literally take this sine arp MIDI and put it in here. Okay. Let's make sure the notes are not too long. Because this is what the original sounds like. And this is our rendition. Very nice. Okay, so now we can get rid of these two sine arp original and Oscar tracks because we no longer need those. Okay, let's see where this sine arp fits in nicely. An octave higher. Can you hear how nicely that LFO is opening the resonance parameter of that make noise MMG filter every 16 bars? Okay, I think I like it here. Okay, so I'm gonna close this Alt PML template. We no longer need that. Now we have ours fully completed. Okay, so I'm gonna start playing this song from the beginning, and I'm gonna switch back and forth between the original PML song and our new hardware rendition of it. So let's start. Love this breakdown. Very nice. And back to ours. Yeah, this one is a lot more calm, more chill, mellow. Not so chill. Still nice. That MS4 is really singing, doesn't it? All right, let's dial that down a bit. All right, so last but not least, what we are gonna do here is to record everything. All right, let's zoom in to make sure you can see everything on the screen, the whole entire template, and I'm going to record everything. So I have all my audio return tracks armed. Again, I don't want to get into detail on how to set these up, but I would love to share all this information with you. So if you would like to know more about this stuff on how to set up audio interfaces for multiple track recording, leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll do my best. For now, I'm just going to say everything is record armed. I'm going to scroll back to the top so you can see the whole template. From beginning to end, we are going to start in the very beginning. I'm just going to make sure that my effects and other parameters are properly zeroed out. And we can get recording. All right, here we go. See how everything is being recorded nicely? go. And that's all of our stems that we can now proceed to mix and create a nice mix and an even nicer master. All right, very nice. So let's recap everything real quick just to make sure that we don't forget. So basically, we took the original PML template, this guy right here. We created a duplicate of it, which became this guy right here. Don't worry about the audio returns for now. That's just for my sake. Now, once we've duplicated the original PML template, we went through each and every track one by one and we deleted all the VSTs and all the plugins and all the effects off of it because we no longer needed them. All we need are the MIDI clips. Okay? Now, once that was done, we had extracted a 16-bar segment of the entire template. We filled in the gaps where there was no MIDI information, and then we slowly started programming our drums. Once we were done with the drums, we moved on to creating the melodic elements. First, we created the bass line, then the square plug bass, then the sub 37's main bass line, and so on and so forth until we were done recreating all the melodic elements from the original template. Now, once we were finished with that, we went ahead and took these freshly created MIDI clips and copied them onto the original template, like so. And once that was done, we started dialing different automations, animations using MIDI or the Ableton CV tools, the Expert Sleepers ES8, and the buttload of modules that is right behind us. Now, let me emphasize, you do not need a massive system like this. If you have a small synthesizer, a drum machine, anything that can receive CV information, whether that's through a MIDI to CV module or utilizing Ableton CV tools, I strongly encourage you make full use of it because external gear just sounds amazing. It has a sound to it that will never ever be replicated by a VST. VSTs, on the other hand, are very comfortable, very flexible, very quick. So what I was trying to show you is how to merge the benefits of the good sounding hardware world with the flexibility of the digital world. And by using the Ableton CV tools and those couple of tricks that I showed you here, you can come very close to creating a production that consists entirely of hardware gear, and you can still modulate and still save and modify and produce everything in a manner just like you were using VST instruments. Now again, if you have any questions, any concerns, anything that you see that I did right, anything where I went a bit too fast and you weren't exactly sure what was going on, please do leave a comment in the comment section below, because I would love to hear your feedback. So that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. Don't go too far because the next video is right around the corner.